I mean, what was he going to say? Did anything stand out?
Not really. I mean, of course, it's a big day for the Communist Party and the rulers in Beijing. And they've come up with this new highest honor of the party. It's called the July 1st Medal, and they gave it out to a number of distinguished individuals who have given outstanding contributions to the party, individuals as well as groups. You're seeing Xi Jinping entering the Great Hall of the People with some of the recipients of the July 1st medal. And then he went on to give a speech, and this will probably, for the international audience, be less critical than what he's going to give on Thursday. That actually marks the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China in 1921 back in Shanghai. That will be a significant speech, according to state media. Today, this speech was more pomp and circumstance and a message to the people of China that it's been the party that has been the rock-steady force that has led the Chinese economy to be the second in the world and perhaps even beyond in the next centennial. And this is what he had to say, and I'll just have to put on my reading glasses here. He says, the Communist Party must be the pioneer of the country's new era, as I just alluded to, the next 100 years. The party has written a splendid chapter in the history of Chinese nation's development and of humanity. Party members, and this is interesting, party members must aim to be clean people who perform clean deeds. This is kind of an extension, obviously, of what the directive he gave a couple of weeks ago, saying that China's wolf warrior, he didn't say that term actually, but the wolf warrior diplomacy needs to be toned down a little bit and project a kind image of China to the world.
And Steve, we've also just gotten a quarterly statement from the PBoC. What's its view of the Chinese economy?
Yeah, that the Chinese economy has stabilized and showing more stability and improvement, even though the PBoC in this quarterly report and statement says there are both domestic and overseas environments remain complex and grim. Well, those are the words that it used. It will step up its coordination with global economic policies and prevent external shocks. And it reiterated that it will continue with its prudent monetary policy with targeted and reasonable liquidity to be kept reasonably ample. Of course, the PBoC has not moved on its policy stance this year. It's been unchanged, even as growth in the first quarter hit record levels. It has taken a gradual approach to curbing credit growth while providing enough liquidity to meet the demand. Not much new on the FX, even though the renminbi has strengthened quite a bit. It says it will boost FX flexibility and keep the yuan stable and at a reasonable and equilibrium level. So, not earth-shattering from the PBoC.
Okay, but seriously, I mean, we've got more stick going on, very little carrot from D.C.
Yeah.
And Congress getting involved with a couple of bills here and House of Representatives. Now, what are these bills designed to do and what's in them?
Maybe a little more carrot than the Trump administration. We'll see on that one.
I think the carrot was joining the WTO.
Well, 2001. That's a year in the past.
Yes, exactly.
A lot has happened in the last 20
carrot
years.
Before stick.
That's right. Okay, so the U.S. House has passed a couple of bills overnight aimed at countering, if you will, the spending that China is doing on innovation, in particular the semiconductors. But these two bills will earmark about $150 billion to two different areas. You see the National Science Foundation as well as the Energy Department. This is similar to what the Senate did, which passed a $250 billion measure that included more than $52 billion in incentives and grants for the domestic semiconductor manufacturing industry. Of course, we know Xi Jinping is pushing hard for its own domestic advanced chip industry to counter what the moves have come from both the Trump and Biden administrations.